He's not down there.
It's one of those that you.
Nope, I took them. Those are just separate.
No, it won't be on the. It won't be on the. Yeah, there you go. Okay, thank you.
Well, it would not be Kristy and Allison if we didn't start off a little funny. Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Freedom Exchange. Happy Sunday.
Hello.
It's not always a Sunday, but usually a Sunday. Hi, friend. I haven't seen you for like.
It's been a long time.
Well, we've seen each other. We just haven't like hung out.
Connected a little bit. So we're connecting now with Jimmy.
Hi, Jimmy.
Included, which is awesome. Thanks for being patient with us.
So after 11 years total from being arrested till you were released, we have Jimmy Romans, and he was arrested for a marijuana charge, and his story is a little wild and crazy, that it ended with a life without possibility of parole sentence. Is that a way to say it?
Yes.
There's a lot of nuances to your story that I'm really excited to get into and share with our viewers. People like me that I'm learning a lot of new vocabulary in the landscape that you experience. So it's going to be really good to learn more stuff, and you're going to relate. But you even said that some of this is new for you, and you were in prison.
It's so deep. I'm going to just talk a little bit about what the Freedom Exchange means.
I think that's great.
Okay. Hi, everybody. So the Freedom Exchange, Allison and I started this so that we can connect people that have been in prison to tell their story, people that fight for people in prison, and connect them to people that have no idea what people in prison, who they are, and all the atrocities that go on. So we wanted to create a platform so that people can connect, and so that we can connect humanity and raise people up to be their best selves. And we always say there's more to the story. The story doesn't end. If you're still breathing, the story continues. So we want to highlight all the amazing people that, and we have met so many amazing people from all over the nation, which is great. So where are you from, Jimmy?
I'm from Indiana.
Ooh,
Midwest.
That's the first time we had Indiana on. Go Indiana.
Okay. Represent Indiana, that's right.
Representing.
I think we should have a map behind us.
Oh, good idea.
And then we stick every state that we talk to.
I love
because
it.
you're our first Indiana person. And
Okay.
I'm always fortunate to speak to our guest first, and then I get to like tell Kristy, oh my gosh, listen, this is all the stuff that we're going to talk about, and it's so exciting that
she does. It's cool.
But we were really, I think I said this to you right when we first talked, Jimmy, it's finally nice to talk to you because you are all over Facebook. Everyone loves you. You are mutual friends with everybody and everybody.
Seems like we know now.
Yeah. It's so good to meet you and talk to you and hear your story, and not just have you be this guy on like all over my Facebook. It's so fun to be like, I know him. We talked to him. We hung out the other night. It was fun. So welcome.
You went to Indiana?
I went to Indiana. I do think we need to
No wonder we don't see each other.
I think we need to do a road trip though and go around and see all of our new friends.
That's right. Well, I appreciate you guys first and foremost for having me on. I appreciate you.
Thanks.
I appreciate what you guys do. It's really a blessing, and you guys are definitely guardian angels for a lot of people for what you do.
It's the least we can do for all the people that are still in prison that shouldn't be there, in our opinion.
Yeah.
And I think you would agree. So
we're going to get to that today. That shouldn't be there. We're going to get to that. So I'll just give you the floor for a minute, and why don't you tell the audience like what your story is?
All right. Well, back in 2010, I was arrested, and in the state actually, and they ended up charging me with a charge that's called financing the dealing of marijuana, because it's a charge I'd never heard of before in my life, but they never could catch me around no marijuana. So that's the charge that they gave me. Well, long story short, I ended up getting 1 year, and they confiscated everything, all kinds of stuff. They said, if you don't fight for your stuff back, we'll give you 1 year. So I ended up saying, okay, that's fine. I'll take it. So about 11 months into my year, I was already on work release, and the feds got me and said that you have an indictment out of Texas. At first, I didn't believe them because I'd never been to Texas. So
that's
I was
crazy. So you've never been to Texas, but you were indicted out of Texas.
Yes, never been there.
Okay, so, we have one. Can you hold on 1 sec? I just want to make sure that we are live on Facebook.
This says stop, so it says it's going.
Yeah, it does. I just don't see that here.
We just get a little bit freaked out when we mess this up and it's not
yeah.
live.
Okay, now it just came.
Okay. Okay, sorry, Jimmy. We wanted to not have you go on and then be
It's all
like,
good.
it never showed up. This is
We can't be perfect.
we're
This is
really
great.
perfect except at this.
I
Okay.
love it.
Okay, go ahead.
Continue.
So anyway, 11 months into it, I had already secured a place to live, got a car. I'm getting ready to be home, and the feds come and get me, and they have an indictment for conspiracy to possess and distribute 1,000 kilos or more of marijuana out of Texas. Well, I was like, well, this is bogus because I'd never been to Texas. So they take me downtown to the federal building, and they start, trying to talk to me. And I mean, they already know that I'm not going to say, I don't have anything to say, because when I got arrested in the state, they already knew that I didn't have anything to say. But I started looking around, and there was some other people that I knew that they had in these other little rooms here. And I'm like, okay, well, what's really going on? So about a week and a half later, they come, say, pack up your stuff, and they put us in a van, and we're heading to Texas. And I'm like, okay, well, this seems like it might be real now.
Mm-hmm.
So in the van on the ride, we're going to Lexington, Kentucky to get a flight to Texas. So in the van, we're all riding. There's 7 of us. And I'm like, what's going on? And they're all like, I don't know. I said, did they catch you doing anything? Do you? Everybody's like, no, they just came, got us. I was like, okay. Well, just everybody just hang tight. Just, don't say nothing, and we'll probably be home in about a month, whatever. Don't worry about it. So we get down there, and we're down there for about, I don't know, maybe a month and a half. And my attorney comes to see me, and he's like, well, I haven't talked to the prosecutor yet about you, but he's been talking to everybody else. And he slides over these vanilla envelopes to me, and it's statement after statement after statement from these guys that I had just been in the van with. So I'm like, okay, I guess this is happening. So months go on, and I find out more people are talking and telling stuff and all this and that. And let's say probably 7 months after being down to Texas, I said, well, are they even going to offer me anything? A plea agreement, anything? He said, well, I'll go to the prosecutor and ask him. Excuse me. So he goes to the prosecutor. He comes back and says, well, the prosecutor really said he didn't want to offer you anything because they got so many people telling on you, they don't need to offer you anything. But by law, they got to offer you something. So he said he wants to offer you 360 months, which is 30 years. I'm like, that's not no offer. And he was like, I agree. I said, well, we're going to go to trial. And he told me all about the percentages and everything about trial. I said, man, I do not feel comfortable signing a 30-year plea agreement. And on that plea agreement, one of the stipulations is that if they need your assistance, you'll give it to them. For anybody else that were to go to trial. That was the stipulations on the plea agreements. That's on most of them, not just my case.
Yeah.
That's how it is on most plea agreements. So I was like, well, never mind, we're going to trial. So months and months and months went on, and he's bringing more statements to me, and it's just like, he's wanting to, and I'm telling him, okay, well, why am I even in Texas? And he's telling me more about the conspiracy law, how you can be tried and convicted in any district in the United States where supposedly one thing happened, no matter if you've been there or not.
I never knew that.
Yeah. As long as there's one piece out of the whole conspiracy that happened in any certain district, they can get you tried in that district. But the funny thing is, the only thing that got venue in Texas, see, there was 17 people on the indictment, and only one of them lived in Texas. He lived in the northern district of Texas, which is the Dallas-Fort Worth area. We got indicted out of the eastern district. The whole reason, and their meat and potatoes of the case, was one of the guys that told, he said, I drove money, proceeds from Indiana through the Eastern District to get to the Northern District to give him money. He didn't ever get caught doing that. He never got pulled over with no money, never, nothing ever like that. But he said that, and that's what stuck with jurisdiction.
Is it true that they put a map up during your trial and showed like the
Showed
route?
showed his route going from Indiana to Texas and how it went through the Eastern District. Yes, that is true.
Any district that he passed through was open for, do you want to explain what venue shopping is?
And that's the thing. On my direct appeal, which was out of the Fifth Circuit, which was actually held in New Orleans, my parents actually and some advocates, and they went down to the hearing. See, I wasn't allowed to go because I was incarcerated. So they actually went down to the courtroom and sat in, and it's a 3-judge panel. And you have to have 2 of the 3 judges agree with you to win your appeal. So the prosecutor's stumbling over their words. My attorney's doing a decent job. And at the very end, it's even in my paperwork, the dissent that one of the this came from the judge's mouth, one of the judges. He said, if you do venue on this case, according to what you have, lack of what you have, he said it opens up the door for venue shopping, which is a federal offense. A judge put that in his own words.
Because it's true.
Yes, it is true. Venue shopping is a federal offense. And they already did it because the Indiana feds had the first chance to pick up the case because the drugs were delivered in Indiana. They were bought in Indiana. They were sold and paid for in Indiana. Nothing happened out of Indiana except for that guy taking money down to him. Supposedly, they didn't ever catch him doing anything.
So I have a question. So if drugs are shipped to another, so were your drugs shipped to another state? Were they ever shipped to another?
They were shipped from where they were to Indiana.
Oh.
You know what I mean? From wherever they came from, whether that be Mexico, wherever they came from.
Right.
They were shipped to Indiana. We did not touch them or anything until it got to Indiana. And then we sold them, paid for them, everything in Indiana.
And then were they shipped out to other places, or that's when it?
I have no clue where they were after that. I don't know where they went after that. But when it had to do with what we did was in Indiana. So that's why we were fighting jurisdiction and venue, because everything happened in Indiana, and the Indiana feds had to have the first chance. I mean, the state police had to go to the Indiana feds and show them the whole case and say, hey, look at this. And with no drugs, no wiretaps, no buys, no sells, they call it ghost dope, basically, is what they call it, because there's no drugs, there's no nothing. It's just hearsay.
So,
and it's just statements. It's just statements.
It's just statements. Yes, it's just statements.
I don't think our
what a conspiracy is. When 2 or more get together for an agreement, that's considered a conspiracy, and it's really scary.
It is.
And the conspiracy law really was meant for back in the late 60s and 70s for like organized crime, because they could never catch a lot of them doing anything. So basically, conspiracy is like the RICO. Basically, It's the same thing, but they use it so often now because they've just watered it down.
That's all there is. Conspiracy.
Was that your turn?
They use it on every case because they don't have to worry about doing a lot of investigating. They just get somebody to tell, and you're in a conspiracy. So,
I bet those guys in the van with you probably hadn't said anything. They had no idea what was going on. And then all of a sudden, I know with my lawyer, I was new at it. And he said, you got to tell. I said, I'm not telling. He said, Kristy, everybody tells. They tell on their mother. They tell on their brother. He goes, there's no cases where nobody tells. And I was surprised at that. But he said, everybody tells something, which is.
That's not true, but yeah.
No, I didn't tell, but yes, I understand.
Yeah. Right.
So, Jimmy, will you share how we got to a life sentence without parole?
Well, the thing is, in the federal system, they go by the guideline range. And down this way on the guideline, I had one with me. I don't know where it is. Down this way, it's your levels. And across the top, it's your criminal history. And then they meet wherever they meet. That ends up being the advisory guidelines is what they call it. But they always stick with what it says. Unless you're telling, and then they'll compromise with you. So my advisory guidelines were, the chart goes up to level 43. I was in criminal history 1 because my criminal history points were 0. So I was in the first category, but at sentencing, they can put on you what's called sentencing enhancements. And it doesn't need to be, them don't have to be found out by the jury, which is beyond a reasonable doubt. Sentencing enhancements are only by the preponderance of the evidence, they call it. And the person who figures, is this by a preponderance of the evidence, is the judge. So you can argue them, but if the judge is going to do what she, or I say she, because my judge was a lady. If she's going to do what she wants to do, she don't have to, she's just going to shoot you down when you're trying to argue the enhancements. So I ended up going to trial, and they call this a trial penalty, like he was talking about a little bit, because they try to stack all these enhancements on you because that you went to trial. And they don't like to go to trial because it takes time, and they have to do the jury and all this and that. And so they put all these enhancements on you that they can. So with these enhancements, it ended up putting me, like I said, the chart goes to 43. I was a 44, and they say anything over 43, just consider it a 43. So with a 43 in criminal history 0, it just says life. It don't say any months. It just says life. And in the federal system, there is no parole. So life is life. It's basically a walking death sentence is basically what it is.
You didn't kill anybody.
No, there's no violence. I'm nonviolent.
There's nobody dead. There's no violent history. How do we take somebody's life, the rest of their life?
And how do we have a criminal history number is 0? Because I remember that the chart, and I didn't even remember that you can have 43 with a criminal history of 0. That's got to be, I mean, if you think about that, that's someone aggressively doing some harmful, really violent behavior.
It's pretty wild.
Yeah.
And that's what my attorney said at sentencing. He said, Your Honor, I've seen people get a life sentence. I've seen some of my own clients get a life sentence. And the key main factor in all of it was somebody was dead or got killed or terribly, terribly injured, and the person had a terrible background.
Right, exactly.
And he said this is a marijuana case, and this sentence is outrageous and doesn't fit the crime.
What did the judge say?
And then he also went to argue about how the states were coming around and getting more. And the judge said, well, you don't have to have somebody that's been killed to get a life sentence. And he said, well, I know you don't, Your Honor, but this case doesn't warrant a life sentence. And she said, well, I think with the amount of money and with the amount of drugs, which there were no drugs, it's just people said these amounts and it jacked up, because I haven't been caught with not even one joint, and I got sentenced for 60,000 pounds.
Yes, I read somewhere it was like a $20 million drug situation that they were saying you were involved with, or you were the kingpin or the middleman or the organizer, the leader. Like, that's all the different things I read. And do you think that number's outrageous? Is that no way possible?
What, the 60,000?
$20 million worth of marijuana.
Yeah. That's another thing that the feds do. They say whatever they want. They go talk to these people, and if it doesn't sound good, they're going to put a paper in front of them. Okay, well, this is what I need you to sign. This is what you're going to say on the stand.
That's
So,
exactly what they do. And people
yes.
would be shocked that that's exactly how they operate.
Like
for
they think
sure.
it
Yeah.
makes sense and there's rules to it, but it's really a free for all. The prosecutors,
it is a
yeah.
free for all.
Yeah.
It is.
Yeah.
There's so much I want to get to. Jimmy, do you want to let's go just right to the last 8 hours of President Trump's presidency before he walked out of the White House. What happened?
Okay. Well, real quick, anyway, with them sentencing enhancements, I ended up getting a life sentence. And I was convicted, and then I was sent away to federal prison to a maximum security, because anytime you got 30 years or more, you got to go to a maximum security prison. So that's where I ended up going.
So I have a question first. So when you were waiting for the judge's decision, what was going through your mind? Was your
Well, like
family
I
in the courtroom?
told Allison before, before you get sentenced, they give you what's called a pre-sentence investigation or a pre-sentence report. So they recommend it so you kind of have a feeling of what you might get. So when my PSI came back life, I kind of had a feeling that with this judge, the way that she operates, that's what I was going to get. But when she actually had me stand up and read it to me and asked me if there's anything I had to say to the court, I just said, "God bless you, Your Honor, and God bless this court. Let's go." That's exactly what I said.
Wow.
So, I mean, it was tough. And until you stand there, you can't really, I've talked to some lifers, since in there and after I've been home, and you can maybe try to imagine, man, if I got a life sentence, but until you stand there and you actually receive it, I can't explain the emotions and how it feels and what it does to you, because it affects you.
It does.
It does. So anyway, fast forward, Allison, like you said, to January 20th. Well, actually the 19th, well, maybe 19th, 20th, about 11:59, maybe midnight. President Trump did 73, I believe, my numbers might not be accurate, but 143 total clemency and pardons. Now, I think he only did 70 some clemencies, which 70 some clemencies out of 170,000 federal inmates.
Not that much.
If you can imagine, I mean, you talk about a needle in a haystack, that it doesn't even fathom the number. It's just, I mean, it's a blessing. It's a blessing. And I give God all the glory, because
Miracle, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
We're seeing a miracle.
Yes. The reason I'm sitting here right now is a miracle.
Yeah.
And so, 8 hours before President Trump had to leave the White House, he issued the list, and my name was on the list.
Yeah.
So,
And thank you to, let's do little shout outs. It's a longer story, but there's several advocates that fought so hard from you all the way from Obama through President Trump's. So Obama, you were denied and you had to wait a whole nother 4 years of presidency to get it. And so it was, do you want to shout out the people that were majorly a part of this?
yes, I hate shouting out because my list is so crazy. And if I miss somebody, I'm sorry. But I have to say, shout out to Alice Johnson, because she stepped up at the end and pushed so hard for me. I want to thank Ivanka Trump, because Ivanka was working with Alice, and my list got taken off. Alice told me 4 times off the list at the very end, because after the Capitol building incident, people were trying to separate themselves and they were taking stuff with them. So they pushed so hard at the end. My real good friend, Chad Marks, he pushed. Weldon, Angelos, Amy from Cando, Freedom Grow, the Last Prisoner Project.
I'm thinking of one. I'm thinking of one specifically you haven't named, and you share genes with her.
Yes, my sister is my main advocate from the start.
Forget her.
No, but I usually say her last, because I usually say, if it wasn't for, after all these people, if it wasn't for this one, I would have never had one. My sister Elizabeth, she fought all the ups and downs when we started doing good, and then we lost an appeal. She just kept fighting and pushing, and she wouldn't give up.
That hope probably went a long way while you were incarcerated with a life sentence.
Yes. And there's a lot more people too. I hate missing names.
They know who they are. They know you appreciate them. I'm sure.
And we can add them at the end too,
Yeah.
like on our notes, if there's
Yeah.
anyone else too. And you know what? So it's like when you talk about them and them advocating for you, I always talk about how being in prison, you don't realize people out here fighting for you. You think you're all alone. You're just like by yourself. You can't connect to the outside world at all, really, except for a phone call or email. And so it's like, I love hearing that, because then it's like, you know, people generally are good and people want to help and people are loving and beautiful and connected. And even though we're so divisive right now, it's, I think, outside influences of that, but really heart to heart. I mean, people that don't know you are fighting for you to get out of prison that's huge.
Yeah.
And so I love to kind of highlight that part, that people are good.
Yeah. And also Seattle Hempfest, Sharon Whitson from Seattle Hempfest, they wrote thousands and thousands of letters. Beth Curtis from Life for Pot, Stacy Theus, Adela Falk. I mean, the names just go on, and it's just amazing. Here's the Freedom Grow t-shirt.
Bringing light to a dark cell. Ooh, that's beautiful. I love it.
Yeah, it's awesome. They do such a fantastic job. They send funds to commissary accounts. They give out newsletters. They're just an awesome group of people. All of them are. And like I said, meeting them through the letters and through the outreach and through them talking to my family, they all stayed in constant contact with my family.
Huge.
And, when my sister lived out in California, and that's how she ended up meeting Amy, because my sister would go to the marches, the marijuana little rallies in like Oakland and stuff like that, and be wearing a shirt with my picture on it. And all my little nieces and nephews would have shirts on saying, "Free my uncle," you know what I mean? And stuff like that. Yeah. So she ended up meeting a lot of good people, and they feel like family. They are family.
They are family, for sure.
Yeah.
When you experience humanity at that level, like so many people are living just on the surface and getting through life and, just kind of walking through life asleep. And when you experience that kind of humanity and love from people that didn't know you, but believed in you, wanted to be there for you, I don't know how you can ever shake that off after that. I know that you live in so much gratitude and you speak it so much. And so the people around you, I think, that are just sort of walking through life go, wait a minute, maybe there's more gratitude I can find in my own story, my own life, because you are speaking it all the time.
Well, when people complain about stuff, I want to pull them down. Okay, come down here.
Yeah.
Let's look at the reality of gratitude. I can list a plethora in 30 seconds. So yes,
I told everybody when I got home, there's two things that I'm staying away from. Well, more than two, but drama and negativity.
Right.
No more time for it.
There's no reason to be negative. It's just there's too much going on. There's too much. Life is a blessing, and just freedom. A lot of people take it for granted.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
And it's something that you can't take lightly. It's a blessing.
You know what I say, and from my own personal experience, everybody needs to find a really, really good friend that has been incarcerated and experienced this problem, because, well, seriously, my life has changed since Kristy and I.
Is your life better because of me?
Yeah.
Okay.
All right.
I think everybody needs to be around somebody like you that have gone through the depths of the dark and whether it's the unfairness or just the full breaking open and crumbling and then rebuilding yourself back up. And it just gives perspective. Like, I thought I was doing fine prior, and then I am with you and you're so quick to bring perspective into my life. And so that's my charge for everybody watching, is to go find a Jimmy and a Kristy and cling to their experience and glean what, Kristy used to say to me early on, like, I had to learn really hard things and I don't want you to have to learn them or have it take as long. And so she pounds on me sometimes, lessons that she learned the hard way, and she just doesn't want to see somebody she cares about struggle as long as she had to struggle. So you kind of put me on the fast track.
Let's get through it quick. So,
I think it's you talk about being grounded, you know what I mean? But I think it's a different type of being grounded after you've been through that kind of situation. So people like yourself, you can see that. You can see how powerfully grounded that situation made her. Some people, it doesn't do that too. Some people, you know, different people, it affects different ways. But the ones that you can take positives away from it, you know, you have to take positives away from it to be who you really need to be. So that part, like you said, would affect people around you, and they'll be able to see that, and they'll be able to relate after they've heard stories and heard, you know, stuff like that. So that's why, you know, I talk as much as I can and try to spread the word as much as I can. Like I said, since I've been home, I've done, you know, 30 plus interviews, and I'm going to keep doing them as much as I can, because maybe it'll hit somebody that will make a change. Yeah. Maybe somebody will see this video that knows a senator that can make a ripple effect. You just never know. You just never know.
Well, I think you're affecting people, Jimmy, just in your daily life with your attitude and how you love and how you are positive, and you're just doing that anyway. It doesn't have to be speaking on this subject necessarily. And Kristy does the same thing. When you're around her, we're not talking about prison all day, but she's just super positive. She's full of joy. I mean, the girl laughs all the time, and I think
I'm free. So hey, and this, right. I mean, I could go I could get any food I want. I could go for run. I mean, what
that's
is
right.
To be joyful about? I'm free. Yeah,
that's how I felt when I went in my first gas station.
You can see it on Jimmy's Facebook. You can those really early videos that you posted are
to the gas station.
So sweet. Yeah. You're so just raw and like in awe, and it's so great.
And the thing about that is, I go back and watch it every now and then because it was so raw and real. That was just like, you can't make that up. You know what I mean? That feeling, you just can't make it up. It's just powerful. It's powerful. Okay.
I'm going to do what I do, which is crack the whip and keep us on track. I have so many things swirling in my brain that I want us to talk about, and I'm just trying to figure out, for time's sake, which one to go for first. We talked about who you were when you were younger, and I definitely could see the line of who you are today versus who you were when you were like 10. Do you remember that part of our conversation? Do you want to share kind of who was Jimmy Romans, you know, when you were 10. Late elementary school, you know, that age?
I mean, you know, I was a pretty good kid. You know, I grew up in, you know, a regular home. You know, my dad worked out of town a lot when I got to be a little, you know, probably around that age, 9, 10. And me and mom was home most of the time. But, you know, I got decent grades, you know, I wasn't, you know, a scholar, or I didn't put my full effort forth. But yeah, I was, you know, just a regular kid, you know, rode my bike, rode my skateboard, played outside, played basketball. And then I started getting a little older, getting into junior high and, you know, different kinds of groups of kids. And then I got into high school and started getting around the wrong crowds and started selling a little marijuana. And then once I started driving, I just started being rebellious, just like some teenagers, not all teenagers, but like some of them do. And I just got off on the wrong track, you know, and it wasn't anything about my upbringing, because I had, you know, a good Christian family, and, you know, they did the best that they could. They, you know, I mean, I still have my good morals and my good everything they taught me, because they're fantastic. Mm-hmm. But I just, you know, veered off on my own path, you know, and it got me to, you know, selling marijuana and not keeping a job and not holding it down and moving out and just doing my own thing. And it can happen to anybody. That's the bad thing. It can happen to anybody out there. So if you think it can't happen to you and, oh, I'm just going to sell a little marijuana, I got a life sentence from selling marijuana. So it's not like, oh, this is just marijuana. No, it's not just marijuana. It's an illegal substance that can get you a life sentence still in the federal system.
Still.
So, well, and we can say, well, that's dumb. But when you get in, when you've been caught, then it's a free for all what they can charge you with and how long. I mean, we already kind of talked about that, but you might think it's a small thing you're doing, but people don't understand that haven't been in trouble yet, how it can grow like a wildfire to the point of a life sentence. I don't think people understand that it can go there. Will you, can you talk about that, the line of, we talked about you being a hustler when you were really young, and then how did that play a role in when you were incarcerated till when you got out, and today, where is that hustle, like that whole line?
Yeah, I'm curious.
Well, yeah,
I'm
talking
curious
about.
about the transferable skills that we talk
Okay,
about.
when I forgot that part. Now that you bring it up, I'm glad we had a talk. So yeah, I was 10, 11, 12. When I was 10, 11, 12, I was the type of kid that was, I mean, I got a good personality. I can talk to anybody. I'll go up and talk to anybody. I have no problem with that at all. And I got to where, you know, in the spring, the summer, and the fall, I mean, I had probably 15 different lawn mowing jobs in the neighborhood, along with a paper route, along with, I mean, I didn't even tell you this, Allison, but back in grade school, I would get cinnamon toothpicks from the store, and I would melt down on a pot on the stove some cinnamon and some water mixed, and I would dip all these toothpicks in them, and I would go to school and I would sell these toothpicks for like
I bought them, not from you, but I bought them from people that age. Yes.
Yeah. So I had half the school walking around with toothpicks hanging out their mouth, and I was making like 5 or 10 cents every toothpick.
They were awesome. When someone would sell them at school, I was like, yeah.
You were the buyer and he was the seller.
I was your buyer of your drug.
So, and I would also go to the little convenience store and buy long packages of like now laters and stuff. And I would sell them individual for 5, 10 cents. It was just like it was just in my blood. You know what I mean? And then that transferred into marijuana. It
got huge. And
I mean, it just like my dad has always told me, he said, son, you could do anything you want. You have that in you. And he was right. I just steered it in the wrong avenue. I steered it to the wrong avenue. Because if you get an organization that's legal or illegal, it's just like being a CEO of a company. Whether it, no matter what, you have something that somebody wants, whether it's a car salesman or a marijuana salesman. You know what I mean? I mean, yeah, it's illegal, but the aspect is still the same. The day-to-day motions are basically still the same. You're still, you know.
What did you do in prison? What was your hustle when you were inside? Can I say inside?
Yeah.
I'm trying to learn the right. I don't want to say anything offensive, and there's a lot of language to learn.
When you're inside.
Yeah, when you're inside. Yeah, that's for sure. That's what it is. Well, I did several different things. I ran a store, which, you know, you buy stuff from commissary, and then people that, you know, don't have anything because their money might not coming in, they come to you and they give you whatever you decide to charge extra. And then you just go re-up on your supply, and that's a hustle. And I also helped, mentor people, you know what I mean? And that wasn't a hustle I got paid for. I just did that because I was in this program called the Life Connection Program. And it's an 18-month, very intensive program. That's another thing. When I very first got in, I took every program I could from the very start, even with a life sentence, because I didn't own that sentence. Right. I even told my mom, this is what it says on paper, but we don't believe what man says, Mom. You know, we're not going with this because the Lord's got something planned. So I went in there the same person as I kept myself. I held my head high. I didn't go boohoo over in the corner. I didn't let the time do me. I did the time.
For a life sentence and to have hope throughout the whole time, of course, I'm sure moments of despair, but that's pretty amazing when we talk about people, us wanting to connect people that have never been in prison. There's a lot of people out in the world who have never had that experience of being in a little prison cell for life, who are kind of stuck in their life as it is right now. And it's like, so can you imagine someone like you telling them, hey, there is hope. This is not your life right this second. I mean, it could change tomorrow. It could change the next day. It could change tonight if you reach out and talk to people and ask for help. And
I read somewhere that did you log in 3,000 plus hours of programming? I read that somewhere.
Yes. I took one program alone that was 2,000 hours. I became a certified dental assistant with the United States Board of Labor.
Hey.
Wow, that's awesome.
Are you going to use that ever? Are you gonna find
Probably not.
You know it now,
You
so that's
know it.
cool.
Yeah, if you need a filling, I can hook you up.
Thank you.
In which prison is that? Because I'm always shocked that seemed like the prison I was in had no programming. So I'm
That
always
was-
so like,
That was in FMC Lexington. It's a medical facility, but not everybody's there for medical.
yes. Okay.
That's the place I actually was released from.
Lexington.
Yep.
This is just a really, I don't want to spend a lot of time on this rabbit trail, but I had a question that came from the thought when stuff that you talked about and things that I read too. I just totally lost my train of thought. It's also a drug to like shopping and buying and consuming and having things, material things can feel like a drug. It can be something that's numbing or distracting you from other things in life. And I know that you really enjoyed purchasing things and you accumulated quite a plethora of homes and cars and things and experiences to the point where maybe you didn't save all of that and create
Does
wealth.
anybody save? Well,
Yeah, I could have done a lot better. I could have done a lot better stuff with my money. Although I did do,
yes,
you know, some good things. But yes, I could have done more. But
did you feel like though it became sort of a drug in itself, was living that lifestyle and getting the next cool thing, and it just felt good for different reasons?
Yes, for sure. For sure. It's like you said, it's like a high itself, you know, when I can, you know, go drive a different car every single day, you know what I mean? And just whatever, go on vacations every other week and, you know, go from this house to another house, and just, it definitely was like a drug, like you say.
Yeah, I feel like that's one of we try to be a bridge with the Freedom Exchange from people that maybe didn't experience it, but where are the connections? Where are people like you? And where are people, I'm going, oh, I could see that being me, or I could see how he did that, how, you know, it got there. And I think it's a red flag for anybody that really likes that high of acquiring and status. I think it took you down a road. You know, you weren't going to stop what you were doing because you were experiencing all that. And there's a lot of people watching this probably that can go, oh yeah, even if it's going to target too much,
on a smaller scale,
you know, like, why am I doing that with my world? So my question that came from this part.
Oh, go ahead. I have a question too.
I know that it was in the state part of your situation. It all got confiscated. It went up for auction. And then my question is, who gets all the proceeds from that auction of
government?
What was it, like over $4 or $5 million worth of assets they seized from you?
Yeah, well, the thing is, the school system is supposed to get 50% of it. But after research, my father tried to find out where it all went, and there's no record of where it went. So like you said, Kristy, I don't know where it went.
It's just a revenue booster.
Well, the thing is, they say, well, this organization needs to get this much for what they did, but they didn't do anything. They had people telling. They didn't have to do any investigation. They didn't have to do anything like that. They didn't have to sit and listen to phone calls. They didn't have to do anything. So their time was minimal. So where did the money go? I don't know where the money went. I really don't. But just touch back on what you was talking about the addictive, I call it an addictive lifestyle, because that's what it was. Because, you know, you get this house, it's 2,000 square foot and you're making money. Well, you're going to want this house, it's 4,000, this house. And then you end up in the 7,000 square foot house, and it's just never enough. That's when the greed and the want, you know, steps in.
Well,
but
yeah. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I was going to say, but let me tell you, it's very humbling to stand up there and get a life sentence. You really put in perspective what's
none of it mattered,
important to you. Yeah.
Yeah. And there's so much of that goes on in the neighborhoods, you know, the people with the fancy cars and the big houses that are mortgaged to the hilt. I mean, that's kind of along the same thing. But, I was also wondering, so, because I know for myself, in the middle of when I was committing a crime and selling drugs, there was moments that it would be like, Kristy, what are you doing? And someone the one person I was with said, Chris, it's not if, it's when we're going to get caught. So, and ours never seemed to match up. So we just kept going, even though we had a couple times where it was like shocking that we didn't get arrested, and we should have, and we just kept going. So was there any moments that you thought, or is there anything that stands out that thought, okay, I am pushing my luck here?
Yeah, well, that's funny because actually for the last couple years before then, I kept telling different people, yeah, I'm just going to stop. I'm just going to stop. But once you get to a certain, level, I guess I could say, it's kind of hard because you got other people pushing you. Even though it's illegal, you're taking care of a whole bunch of families. You know what I mean? I mean, yes, it's illegal, and I hate that I did it and went through it. But on the other hand, illegal or not, it was providing homes and childcare for countless families, which I'm not condoning it in no way, believe me.
But that's reality.
Yeah.
But that's reality. That's reality. So when that happened to me, the most people that it affected, of course, was my family. When I got a life sentence, my family got a life sentence, and everybody that loves and cares about me.
Yeah.
And that hurt me bad. But it also affected all them people that actually worked for us.
Yeah.
And I mean,
it would
just
be almost impossible to, if anybody's going to be honest with themselves, it would be almost impossible to just stop, say, okay, let's stop. Let me go fill out an application at Subway.
Yeah.
I think it doesn't matter if it's you living a lavish lifestyle or a certain relationship, or anytime we're using something else to fill a pain or a void or something in our world, whatever it is, it's when it's doing its job and it's filling the void and it's making us feel better about whatever that pain is, we're going to keep doing it.
Or maybe not even pain in the beginning. It's just, hey, it's a more of a numb out kind of thing. And
and just get back on the nice things and stuff. I still like nice things.
Me too.
Kristy's struggling with the subject right now.
I'm struggling with that now.
It feels so much better. I just purchased a brand new car. And it feels so good because I have a job and I was able to go get a loan and get it fine. It feels so good to be able to do that and not to look in my rear view mirror or look behind my back. You know what I mean? It's something I haven't experienced in maybe ever. Because
go ahead. I just go back to the same thing, being the freedom that comes from doing the right thing on the up and up and exposed. Like what you said, it feels so good not to be, I got a new car, but I have to look over my shoulder. I've had situations in my life where it feels good right now to be making decisions and doing my life really open and honest. And I'm not looking over my shoulder thinking I'm going to get caught or in trouble.
Yeah.
It feels so freeing. And you don't have to go to prison to then experience freedom. We can all make decisions right now that keep our freedom, whether it's in our insides or outsides.
Yeah, but along those same lines, when you're young, you don't think about that. I mean, really, everyone that finally does work on themselves and wants to be attached to themselves, we're older and we've been through some hard shit. No one just says, my life's so great, I think I'll do some hard work on myself and get connected, and see where I lack, whatever it is. But instead, as a kid, it's about the hustle, it's about the sneaking out, it's about, being with the boy, the cutest fast boy that you should, all that stuff. So then not me, I'm talking about you.
I did. It's true. She knows.
And so it's like when you're a kid, and most people that are in prison started this and even got in when they were still in that mindset of hustle, do the risk, let's see what we can get away with kind of behavior. So are we going down a wrong?
Well, no, we're getting close, but this the next thing we do before you want to check questions.
There's a lot.
Oh, there are. Okay. So I just want to touch base on one thing before we move to questions and our fun speed round that I don't know if you're aware of what we do, but you and I discussed this briefly, and I'll try not to cry. You're a dad, you have 3 babes, and you love them and you love being a dad, and you're so filled with joy reconnecting with them after so long away. And my dad, as we've talked about on the show, was in prison through my teen years. And when he got out, he could not let go of the shame of his actions and the embarrassment of what he had done and where he went. And he couldn't come out and reconnect with family or friends. And so he moved to the coast away from people, and he stayed pretty isolated through my 20s and my 30s and up until I'm in my 40s now. And a few years ago, he passed away, was not found for 3 weeks because he didn't have a world around him of people that were supporting him. And so I grew up without reconciling his time in prison and without reconciling the shame with him so I could be his daughter again. And when we were talking and you were sharing about how you're being a dad right now and how you're showing up and the time you're spending with your kids and just the joy that was just coming out of you. I'm bummed that my dad couldn't figure it out so that I could grow up with a dad that could tell me about his experiences and I could learn from them, and I could be so proud of him for the growth. And he just couldn't come out of that. And so I just wanted to hear your heart and how you're doing your dad life, because I'm proud of you for doing it. And
and pushing past shame that is there for sure.
I just celebrate what you're doing, but I also encourage you giantly to keep doing it, because it would have changed a lot of things in my growing up years and then into my early adulthood if I would have felt the love and the presence and the cheering on of a dad. And I had to learn some hard things because I didn't have that. So you go, my friend.
Oh,
and
fantastic reuniting and learning my kids' personalities. And I mean, I'm a grandpa now. I got 2 grandsons. So it just, I mean, it was just, I started seeing them about a week after I got home, and then just started seeing them 4 or 5 times a week. And we just started, it was just like, it just came so natural, even though I'd been gone for so long. It just came so natural because I left when they were young. Now they're teenagers. So it was just like, I mean, it's hard to explain, but I talked to them and I told them, and they understand that, I didn't do anything to hurt anybody physically, you know what I mean? And what it was, and that, I was sorry for what I did, and that I had to leave. And today, our relationship is just like seamless, like basically like I never left. I mean, we're like best friends. We text and FaceTime and talk, and I go pick them up. We go to the amusement parks. We go, out of town, and it's just fantastic. My oldest daughter lives in Virginia on the Navy base with her husband. So I don't see her a lot, but we talk every day. She came to visit me all the time. And it's just a blessing that it's been so seamless, I guess is the only word that I could use, because they were shy at first because I left when they were so young, my youngest 2, and they're trying to get to know me. But me and my daughter were like identical twins, mind wise. I mean, I can finish her sentences. It's just like, it's just a blessing. That's all I can say. It's a blessing, and I can't get enough of them.
Well, it seems like you're open to sharing, and you're open. It's not this secret thing that you've hidden away, that it's an open conversation. And I'm assuming as they get older, they're probably going to have newer questions because they're getting older. And just being open to that is I think it kills shame. It kills the embarrassment more.
Yeah. And then what a great example for people who have not been to prison, that have things that they've done that they don't talk about. That's pretty much why I ended up in prison. I had things that I didn't talk about, and I, stayed away in shame and addiction, and I could have got help. So it's like, what a great thing if people are watching saying, you know what, it's really push past that shame. Find one person that you feel safe with and say, I need to talk about this. And generally they're going to say, oh yeah, I know that, or I already know, or I have that too. And then you're just free. That's part of the freedom. And because you're doing a disservice to everybody around you and also your family or your kids, like you know, you'd have loved to have had a relationship with your dad that said, man, I screwed up. And you know, it's just,
I would have learned how to love somebody that screwed up versus creating judgment around people that screw up, because then
or made a bad decision.
And I think I did. I kind of grew up with a judgment around like how you did that, because my dad sort of set that tone. It's not all his fault, but I just want to celebrate what you're doing. And it's huge to someone that's gone through what I've gone through. And I say, good job. Keep going.
And I love how that we're talking, and then I'm watching you heal a little bit. It's just so, God's so amazing. I mean, it really is, because you can't make this stuff up. And she called me.
Right. That's right.
Oh, you can't make this stuff up. This happened, this happened, this happened. It's just like you said. It's like, yes, just like I said. Not that I'm all knowing, but
you are.
No, but it's like, you know, when you're living in your truth and you're just sharing out loud and joyous and grateful and bridging people, it's amazing that can happen. And you're part of that, Jimmy. And we so appreciate that so much.
So I appreciate you guys.
Okay, let's do some viewer questions.
Well, mainly it's a lot of statements.
Do you want to just share some of them?
Yeah, just Militia says she loves your story, and there's people that are really surprised about pot and having a life sentence. Let's see. Stephanie said, we love pot. That's why we do it. The spending is just a byproduct. Let's see, what else?
A lot of good.
The feds do whatever they want because they can. We know that. All for herb, it's wrong. So sorry you got the bad deal, which is true. So thank you guys, everyone, for watching. And there's also another, let's see, there's also somebody else said something about another program. Where was it? Freedom Grow Forever shirt. Is that the shirt you have on now? Freedom Grow Forever. Awesome. Cool. Okay,
so let's do our speed round, because this is a fun way to end our conversation. Are you ready? Short one, a couple words?
Yeah, just a word or two.
Okay.
What was your favorite prison food?
Nothing. No.
Don't say top ramen.
Favorite prison food? Chili.
Oh yeah. Was that chili in the bag?
Yep, chili in the bag.
that was kind of the best, right? As a little taco bowl. Did you have taco bowls?
Yeah.
Those were the best. Okay. Who do you admire the most?
My mom and dad.
Because they stuck with you and were your cheerleaders. That's awesome.
They are.
Are you a morning or night person?
Both.
Yeah.
I wake up in the morning and I'm ready to go, and I can stay up all night.
I think that has been a common thread with our guests on this show. I think if you ask somebody that hadn't been incarcerated, people will choose one. But I feel like there's so much joy of being out that you just want to do life. You want to live it all, do it all. It seems very common on answer.
Yeah, everyone was canceling on me to go for a walk because of the smoke outside. I know I can call Allison. Let's just go go through all the smoke. It doesn't matter because you're free. We can do that. Okay. Describe yourself in 3 words.
Humble, loving, and family.
I'm going to add joyful and contagious.
Yeah.
And those are not the words you would describe somebody who deserves a life sentence. I'm just going to say that. If you could talk in your sleep, what would you say?
I have. They've taped me.
What did you
share?
If I could talk in my sleep, I'd say, please bring the men home that deserve to come home.
Yes, men and women both, for sure.
Yeah. Yes.
On a scale of 1 to 10, how cool are you?
14, 15. Love
that.
That's a big one.
That's the
I love
best
it.
answer.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's see. What compliment do you give people the most?
smile.
And the last question is, what makes you smile?
Everything.
I would agree with you because I have yet to see you not smiling on anything I've ever seen or talked to you. It's a constant.
If you're ever in a mood, will you call us so we could just see what that looks like?
Life in general makes me smile.
Yes. And then lastly, just for a minute, you had said about the men and women that are still in prison. It's a hard thing when you get out and you know all the people that are still in prison. Do you ever have moments where you think you see somebody that was in prison? Because that happens to me
like on the street or something.
Yeah, I'll be like, oh, I thought that was so and so.
I have ran into a couple. I've been home, but
oh, really?
Yeah. And I've seen some like at night, like I've dreamed, and then woke up in it and figure out it wasn't real and get that doesn't feel good. But yeah, there's a lot of men that I was with and women too, but I wasn't with them, of course, but that are deserving. They've done the right thing. They've programmed, stayed out of trouble, and just got crazy sentences, and they deserve to be home. They deserve to be home. Some of them years ago.
Years ago, yes.
Yeah. And it bothers me. It wakes me up sometimes. My first week home, it really bothered me. I couldn't sleep too much. But
so what can people do that are watching that say, yeah, okay, well, what can I do to help people come home?
They can get with these organizations, like I said, Cando Foundation, Freedom Grow Forever, Last Prisoner Project, Life for Pot. I mean, there's so many different people. The Mission Green, Weldon, Angelos, Freedom Fighters. There's so many different groups that people can reach out to get guided if they want to become even like a part-time or whatever advocate, or even just to give $5, whatever they want to do, or just to write a letter, a 55-cent stamp just to send, because I can't tell you how much I appreciate getting mail from people I didn't even know.
Isn't that amazing? It does make a huge difference. Yes.
I will say from my perspective, how you can put handles on the work we're talking about is find these organizations, which we'll list in our show notes, on social media platforms, because when you follow those places, they'll give you action steps. They'll say, sign this petition, or
they'll make it easy.
Text this to this number. They make it really easy. And so I have a few organizations that I follow consistently, and I'll get something like a text on my phone for an action step. And it's really easy to do that. And it's also interesting, like FAM, who I love following what they put out, their content. Kevin Ring, who we a month ago he was on our show. They have really great action steps and really great knowledge to kind of understand what's going on in the prison, the criminal injustice system.
Do we have just another minute?
Yes.
You have all the time you want, Jimmy. You're free.
1 second.
Okay.
I'm coming back, I promise.
It's okay. We're just going to stare at your cozy chair.
Here I am. Okay, I got my list.
Woo! Oh, you do?
I'm going to do it fast. You ready?
All right. We are ready for it.
Well, yep.
Thank you to my sister, my God, and my family. The Human Solutions International, the Marijuana Lifer Project, Adela Falk, Cando Foundation, Amy Povah, the Seattle Hempfest, Sharon Whitson and Vivian McPeak, Kristen Floor, Stephanie Landa, and all the Freedom Grow. Beth Curtis, Life for Pot, Last Prisoner Project, the Freedom Fighters, Chad Marks and Lisa Jacobi, Weldon Angelos and Mission Green, Jessica Jackson from Reform Alliance, Alice Johnson, I already said Ivanka and Jared, and President Trump. Thank you. If I left anybody out, I love you too. I love everybody.
Here's your Golden Globe Award.
That was beautiful.
You did great.
Yeah, I love that.
Shout out Freelance Glore, Freeluke. Sorry, Freeluke. And my co-defendant is still in there. His name is Kevin Harden. He received
and he's
30.
Still in there.
He's at the same place that I got released from, and his out date isn't until 2038. So
why would someone like you get out and not him? Is that just because you
People
had a lot of
fighting.
advocacy for you.
I believe so, and I trusted in the Lord,
Yeah.
and the Lord put my name where it needed to be. So now I'm pushing for him, Kevin Hart,
Right.
and like I said, I'm pushing for these other people. You know, we need to get Lance Glore home. We need to get Luke home. It's just, and there's many, many more. I just can't, you know, think of their names right off the top of my head. And I'm sorry, I love you all.
Mm.
But we just need to keep pushing and get them home. We need this administration to step up.
Yeah.
And not just for marijuana, for prison reform, sentencing reform, everything.
Right.
But my heart's geared towards marijuana because that's the case I had. So they need to legalize this and expunge records and get these people home to their families.
Yeah.
Because it's just it's devastating. This whole I mean, all these families, decades and decades of these families have been devastated. And it's sad that these kids have to grow up with no father or mother over a plant that you can go in store and buy.
Yeah, I was going to say we're in Oregon. So, I mean, there's more dispensaries than there are gas stations.
Well, they're on every corner with every Starbucks. I mean, they're everywhere. And we walk
with
by
a full menu.
We
like
walk
a
by
Starbucks
them
menu.
all the time, and people are just chilling and walking in and doing their thing and just constantly in and out. And yet there's people serving life sentences for the same thing they're going to buy. I can't even wrap my brain around how wrong that is.
Yeah, it's sad, but
So we can
you
vote.
know, hopefully with you know, with prayer and with people doing the right thing, we'll get to keep it pushing. That's all we can do is just keep it pushing.
Yep. And one of the benefits of all of this grossness of prison and all that is the ability to come together and get to meet people that have amazing hearts that's, you know, it just brings us together. So we're going to keep fighting. We're going to keep having conversations. Our next one will be with people that are at risk of going back to prison after they got out from the CARES Act. We're going to have a group on about that. There's over 4,000 people that thought they were, you know, going to be home and got jobs and all sorts of stuff. And now they're at risk of going back. So we're going to fight for that.
Yes.
Yeah.
For
You
sure.
have been your name has been added to our list of awesome humans that we now have as a friend. So I loved our time we spent with you, Jimmy. It was really good.
Okay. I really
Anything
appreciate
you need from us, let us know.
I appreciate you guys. You guys are great.
Thank you.
Thanks, Jimmy. Have a great night.
Have a good night and a
And
good
we're going to
week.
get those people home.
Yes, for sure.
Okay.
All right, guys.
Bye-bye. Bye.